Em, what is the lowest temperature on a day where you still think you'll see a middle-aged man wearing cargo shorts?
I feel like anything in the double digits, it's not off limits.
Tiffany, is that about where you land?
Correct, because it was 20 degrees about 2 weekends ago, and I saw a middle-aged man wearing cargo shorts at the bus stop in front of the Aldi's in the Wedge/Uptown.
A man came into Luminary Coffee House on Sunday wearing short shorts and left the door open, and I thought my friend Martin Devaney was going to die. I think he was very close to actually dying. So yes, men close the door, and I think you need to wear pants until it's over 35 degrees. Even most exercise activities, just put some pants on those things.
Seems like a good rule.
Today we're talking about the role of barricades in Twin Cities neighborhoods. We also have some recommendations for single people for Valentine's Day. And we'll learn more from a recent NPR interview with the woman whose partner was shot by federal agents in North Minneapolis on January 14th. Em Cassel, welcome back to the pod. You are the owner-editor of Racket, or I should say one of the owner-editors of Racket. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks as always for having me.
And Tiffany Bui, our creative producer, thank you for being on the pod today.
You're welcome. Owner-editor of many figurines.
Yes, exactly. I would love to see your editorial notes on those figurines. Not doing good today. I just wanted to tighten this part up.
Be cuter.
Let's talk about a new strategy that people have been employing across the Twin Cities for resisting ice. This is something called filter blockades, something that I've been hearing just a little bit about, but we spoke to the mayor of St. Paul about it. We've also been hearing some comments and reading some articles. So, Em, can you give me some more information about filter blockades?
Yeah, totally. I think the Star Tribune and NPR both recently had stories about these, and you've probably also seen them popping up in your neighborhood, especially like I'm in South Minneapolis and I've been seeing a lot of these. The simplest explanation is basically that neighbors are just making makeshift blockades on street corners or intersections, I guess. The idea being that they will slow down traffic and kind of impede federal agents as they're driving around the cities in their big, fast cars. Sometimes they look kind of like trash piles. They might literally be like a pile of pallets or like people's city-provided trash cans and recycling bins in the middle of the street. You might see a spray-painted message on there that's like ice out. And then other times they can look like little block parties. Like actually a friend of mine, Jesse, made a welded a fire pit and welded a little ice out message onto the fire pit. And like that's at the intersection by his house, and people gather at the fire pit. They drink drinks, have a coffee, people bring pastries, and kind of just hang out together in the streets. It's a good way to get people out of their homes, and you're kind of inherently observing what's going on because you're out and about in the community. And at the same time, there is the factor of like literally slowing traffic, impeding people's ability to just tear through intersections willy-nilly, right, as they're enforcing this evil immigration policy.
I imagine the blockades, depending on like what form they take, don't stay up very long, though. Like I imagine police would be taking them down pretty fast. Have you seen that personally, Em?
Yeah, police are not loving this. I think the city of Minneapolis put out a social media post bulletin that was like, hey, please stop doing this. Our emergency vehicles need clear access to the streets. It's a safety problem. We can't have these barricades here. And I know that MPD, I think, took down at least 5 barricades on Saturday, they've said. St. Paul Police Department has also promised, like, if these start popping up, we will clear them. Like, you cannot be here. But by that same token, there's a barricade at 35th and Bloomington in South Minneapolis, right by Powderhorn Park, that I have seen go up and be taken down and go up and be taken down several times over the last couple of days. So I literally drove by on Saturday and it was back up again and people were out there. So people are resilient.
And these aren't checkpoints proper in the sense that this is not something where everyone comes to a halt. This is not like driving into Canada. This is a slowing technique, not a stopping technique.
Yeah, that's my understanding. I mean, driving through the blockade or the barricade, whatever you want to call it, at 35th and Bloomington was very much like, the light turned green and we all drove through. It was not like, you didn't wait there for 20 minutes or anything. Emergency services has said that it could block the road for their vehicles. So I do understand, like, the concern about that. But I kind of get it. Like, it's just falling in line with everything that we're seeing in the Twin Cities right now, where like residents feel very much like they are not getting help from anyone, right? You have to take things into your own hands and like, okay, so this is a way that we can take matters into our own hands. Maybe a makeshift blockade block party is the way to slow down these immigration actions.
And actually, I know one of the people who was in, I believe, the NPR article. Molly Priestmeyer is a writer who I've been aware of in the Twin Cities. And she was kind of talking to a police officer who is not like a spokesperson for the Minneapolis Police Department. But she was going like, y'all won't punish these people who have shot people, and who won't investigate these people who have shot people in Minneapolis. Don't expect that this stuff is going to let up until y'all start doing your job. Now, I don't think Molly has much of a bargaining chip. I don't think an individual patrolman from Minneapolis Police Department has much of a bargaining chip. So I don't think there's really a tit for tat there. But do you think these are effective in limiting ICE's operations? Meaning like it not something to sort of bargain with the city of Minneapolis on, but just going like, is it working to get ICE to slow down?
I do wonder. Borders Czar Tom Homan has said like they will not be deterred by this, of course, right? But that's what he would say. I think anything that maybe slows them down a little bit is good. Like we've talked a lot about it in my friend group, like this idea that any small action you can take that impedes this takeover is good, right? Whether you're out observing, you're driving someone to work, like the idea is just to slow them down in any way possible. And I think that's kind of the idea. And to Molly's point, like that's exactly right. Like people don't feel that they're getting help from the powers that be. So like, okay, this is one small action that we can take. And it's also kind of fun. There's like a fun atmosphere out there. There's a bonfire. Like there are hot beverages. I don't know. I think it even if it's not working, I kind of love the visual of it.
I imagine it's also it could be a very efficient way to get plates registered to vehicles that are sort of confirmed to be driven by ICE or being used by ICE. So as an information gathering tactic, I can see that being a useful thing for organizers and observers.
Yeah, trying to keep track of these vehicles, which, they're switching plates, they're moving stuff around, like trying to know what vehicle is an ICE vehicle. It's like, well, yeah, okay, we just saw them come through. That's ICE, write it down.
Yeah, it's for masked men. They're not having like a male bonding party right now.
God, but what if they were? Wouldn't that be such a better use of everyone's time?
I was kind of excited to come in and be Mr. This is a dumb idea, this is a bad idea, and have that as my take. I retain some of that, and I want to share that take with y'all. I do want to point out that I do not buy. It's the opposite. When Borders Czar Tom Homan says we will not be deterred, I feel like between the lines he's going, I am speaking about this into a microphone because we are being deterred.
Right.
Like there are certain things that he doesn't deem worthy of bringing up. Those might be the ones that really aren't working. If he brings it up, they might be working. Okay, so I think we might be able to agree anything that slows them, being federal agents, ICE agents, Border Patrol agents, down is good. But could we say anything that slows them down but also slows down fire trucks and ambulances is not good? Is that a place we could land on together? We go, we might want to slow them down at close to any means, but not the means where it means that people who might even be injured by ICE agents now can't get the help they need in an efficient time frame.
Yeah, I understand where the city's coming from when they're like, hey, ambulances and fire trucks need to get through here. And like, it's not great if they just get to a street that's blocked off and don't know how to get around it. But some of the ones, like, again, this barricade at Bloomington and 35th that the Star Tribune story mentioned has been rebuilt several times. Again, it's not hard to get around it. I drive a small pickup truck and I was able to just zoop right by. It's not an ambulance, but I think an ambulance would have been able to navigate that just fine.
I'm curious, this is a good example of the question of how do you maintain law and order and access to social services that the government is contractually obligated to provide to people in the breakdown of law and order. So for one perspective, it is a misdemeanor under state law to block a public right-of-way. And, there's the concern of emergency services like firefighters, like not even cops, of like we can't respond to the scene effectively if there's trash in the way. And that's, city services trying to still retain their semblance of upholding order. But what the ICE agents are doing, and to some residents' perspectives, the collusion between local law enforcement and ICE and federal agents seems to go against maintaining actual order and safety for people. I've seen some people describe what's happening with the blockades as anarchy, but not in the sense of like, like the Purge? I think that's the movie I'm referencing.
Yeah.
Of people like smashing windows and stealing stuff. This is pure like pure decentralized organizers stepping in to do something when they feel like there's a failure in the public official response. So I think it's an interesting tension to be like, well, you got to keep the streets clear. That's just like, how normal things work. That's just how government services work in a time when we're seeing, at least in recent memory, unprecedented levels of of federal aggression in a way that very much violates our social contract. So, what remnants of the social contract are you holding on to during this moment?
Right.
And I think I'm holding on to the ambulances, and I live in 55105, which is in St. Paul, and it is not sirens all the time. It is not whistles all the time. And so I'm going, these ambulances should get through. I think one reason I'm sitting where I sit is because there's more of a semblance of normalcy where I live, right? Mm-hmm. There is more of a sense of going like, oh, obviously things should operate. And because things are mostly operating, I believe that people who are living in South Minneapolis and Northeast Minneapolis are going, are y'all really so worried about the pastries we're eating in the middle of the street when our neighbors are getting pulled out and people are getting shot on our, is this really the thing? And to me, I am starting to realize that where people are geographically located within the Twin Cities has a huge impact on how much we feel like things are changing. Because mainly I go, well, 700 less agents are there. And I go, okay, that's pretty good. And then folks who are on Central Ave go, nothing has changed. And folks who are at Whipple go, the same amount of cars drive through. So Tiffany, I don't feel like I'm clinging on to normalcy because I feel like I'm knee deep in normalcy. And I think that people who go, we're going out on the streets because this is not right, I don't share their perspective, and thus I can't judge their conclusions the same way. And I don't mean I don't respect their perspectives. I just mean like literally my lived experience is such that it would be very easy for me to go, everything is fine. The reason I'm not going everything is fine is because I'm seeking out that information. It's coming to the doorsteps of people in a lot of parts of Minneapolis and St. Paul, but not by Randolph and Hamlin, near where I live. It's not happening in the same way.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, I also think that signing off on, the blockades as a neighbor yourself would mean putting your trust into perhaps people you don't know. So as opposed to putting your trust into emergency services that they're going to come on time, you would put your trust into perhaps people you don't know to move the blockade in time or work with emergency services or, that kind of thing and cooperate in that sense. And perhaps you're like, well, I don't know who these people are, so I don't know if they would. From my experience, the capability to organize people in a decentralized way is really amazing. Like if you've ever seen, like, for example, the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee protests, their marshals are very good at, stopping traffic and directing it elsewhere. Every time I go to a protest like that, I'm kind of amazed at how, regular people are able to just safely get thousands of people marching down the street in a safe way without anyone getting hurt. I'm not saying, those are maybe the same people. I'm not even saying like they could do the same thing, but that potential is there. So, on the other hand, it's like, maybe you feel like things are a little bit more normal, but it's also a matter of like, who do you place your trust in to run these blockades? And I would say as a neighbor, if you see that happening on your block, don't be deterred. Instead, go up and talk to people. How's it going? What are you doing? What's the plan? Ask them these questions. What happens if an emergency services vehicle goes through? Talk to your neighbors.
Yeah.
I think is the takeaway here.
They'll probably even have a cup of coffee for you.
Yeah, or candy for your children.
Yeah.
Do you guys have only scones? You don't respect muffins? What is going on? Tiffany, my faith in humans and people has never been higher, and my faith in government has never been lower. And I think it's just clear that I started with such a high faith in fire departments and ambulances and emergency services. So it's harder to wear that down. But like my idea that we protect us, that's like a thing I've said for a couple of years, or if somebody's chanting it, I've joined. It is a thing I've actually seen, witnessed, and understood in a way. So the idea of going, my neighbors actually could help with this, my potential agreement with that has never been higher.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you. Do you trust your neighbors, or do you still think they're jackasses? Let us know by texting us or leaving us a voicemail on the CityCast Twin Cities hotline. That number is 612-217-0637. We love hearing from you, and we'd love to include your thoughts in an upcoming mailbag segment. There's more to discuss, but before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. I thought it was nearly unanimous that Valentine's is at best a mid-tier holiday and certainly a very corporatized holiday. But I'm wrong. It turns out there is a Valentine's lover right here on the call. So, Tiffany, you are pro Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day is my favorite holiday. And I understand that to some people, like, oh, it's just like it's a holiday created by Hallmark to sell you more things. I'm buying it. First of all, I really like the aesthetic. I think it's super cute. It's the cutest of the holidays. I love like little heart things. And I also think it's just a really nice time to celebrate the people you love, no matter who they are. I don't think it needs to be a holiday where single people feel like more disconnected in terms of a romantic relationship. I think it can be a really good time to reconnect with, non-romantic people in your life and show them that you really care about them.
Okay. Em, are you on Valentine Sucks Island with me, or are you with Tiffany?
I'm more with Tiffany, I would say. For one, I think if you're a single person, it's like really fun to have an excuse to romanticize your own life a little bit. Like, take yourself out on a date, like go see a movie, go get a glass of wine at a bar, it's like a nice time to like celebrate yourself a little bit and your day to day. And then at the same time, like, I think people put a lot of pressure on a Valentine's Day and other romantic holidays. I think it's very simple. You need a thoughtful handwritten note and a small gift. It can be like a very, very small gesture or like a small date. Like, you don't need to overthink it. Just like, I think the handwritten note is crucial. Otherwise, you can like keep it very simple.
I think that one issue is that the world of Valentine's Days we live in twist the knife on single people and twist the knife on you didn't do enough in a way that maybe if we stepped away from that, I could be more positive on the holiday. But right now I feel like it just really tries to make people who don't have a partner feel really bad about that. And I'd like to, put an oar in the water and change the direction of this a little bit. I want to run down some awesome options for single people in the world. And actually, I put a call out on CityCast's Instagram stories last week, and we got a nice note from Terry on Instagram who said, go see a movie, which is fantastic advice. I'm not single. I did go see a movie by myself, but I saw One Battle After Another, and I got supremely high before I went. So I was like, is that movie good? I was like, it's long. That's also why I took photos of the Grandview Theater, and there's like a million more photos in the CityCast folder of the snacks than there is of everything else, because I was like, oh, look, snow caps, popcorn, Diet Pepsi. So maybe don't get supremely high, but maybe do go see a movie. Em, do you have recommendations for some screenings this weekend?
Yes. Okay. Actually, so over on the east side of St. Paul, Trilingua Cinema is doing a date night / like friendship, they're calling it, like mixer, and they're screening The Bodyguard, which classic. So I think that's like they're doing it like a $10 suggested donation, but that's like specifically for single people who want to go to this mixer and go see The Bodyguard. So that is a good one that you should consider. For like literally anyone who wants to yearn a little bit, the new Wuthering Heights comes out this weekend. So just something to be aware of. Like, that's screening probably at any movie theater near you. You could just go see Wuthering Heights. It's going to be kind of like a weird adaptation, I think, but I'm into it. And then there's a group that does an annual festival-ish kind of thing called Il Cinema Ritrovato. And this year, they're screening a bunch of queer romantic comedies. And I think that mostly comes to the main cinema. But that could be a really fun way to like see a movie that you've probably never seen before, that's totally new to you, that like these people have sourced for you.
Oh, wow. Those are excellent suggestions.
What's the first Trilingua Cinema? Can you give me the name?
Trilingua Cinema, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that. That's in St. Paul?
Yeah, and I think their like end game is that they would really love to build a movie theater on St. Paul's east side. That's like one of the things that they're working towards. But for now, they kind of do pop-up screenings at various places. So this one's at the East Side Freedom Library, I think. They do a lot of stuff there.
That's awesome.
Tiffany, can you both provide a Valentine's Day recommendation and name 2 actors from the movie The Bodyguard?
Why would you call me? I was going to let that one slide. I was going to be like, oh, Bodyguard. I know that movie.
I'm familiar.
I've wondered. That's the Beyonce song. No, I don't know any people from the bodyguard.
Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner.
It's a classic,
thank you.
Tiffany.
Thank you. We could have just, kept going. It's all right. What I do know is throwing a little party. Last year, I threw a Valentine's Day party, and it is genuinely one of my favorite parties I've ever thrown. What I did was I got takeout from On's Kitchen because half of my friends who I invited are vegetarian. Really excellent. I got spring rolls and I got pad thai. Very good for feeding lots of people. And then I got every single guest a personalized cosmetic mirror from Etsy with their name on it and the color of their choice. I also got everybody a small clay kit so they can make little pastries out of clay. And then I also made drinks and put glitter in them. And then we watched Love is Blind, which was focused on Minneapolis for that season. And it's just my favorite thing to be able to celebrate everybody. And I also got vintage Valentines that I wrote for everybody from Bench Pressed, which is in Minneapolis. So there's a lot of ways to still celebrate your friends and, tell them that you love them, even if you're not actively dating them.
That is such a sweet party. You are such
really
a good friend. That's amazing. On's Thai, plenty of garlic in that food. And I want to recommend just eat something that you would not want to be around any other humans after you eat. Because there's certain food that is so delicious, but you truly need to go through that journey, especially after the meal, by yourself. And if you are looking for something that you will be utterly stinky after eating, let me recommend Mario's Cheesy Garlic Donuts, which is a spot on Cleveland and Marshall. And these are basically just molten cheese inside of a garlic bread. It's a Juicy Lucy garlic bread situation, basically. No beef involved. It is so stinky and so delicious and so addictive. I get them, and then I don't even want to eat the pizza because I've eaten so many of these ones. So if you want to be stinky with me, we'll meet you at Mario's this weekend. Em, do you have any other single Valentine's recommendations?
Yeah, I think Valentine's Day can be a fun time to go, as we were discussing, do something for yourself. If you have never tried cross-country skiing, maybe go to Theo Worth and rent some cross-country skis. Do something that gets you outside and in that cold February weather and that you can just have fun learning or trying or failing at by yourself. Rent some skates and do some ice skating. I don't know, just go outside, have a little romantic time by yourself. Maybe you'll meet another hottie who's also single and also out there renting ice skates, and you guys can be bad at ice skating together. That sounds great.
Is it safe to ski by yourself if you've never skied before?
Cross-country skiing, it's walking.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just going downhill by yourself, and whether you live or die, nobody will know at the end.
No, cross-country skiing is shuffling. It's
I thought Em was going to be well, no, it's safe because you're going to meet the perfect person and they'll save you, and then it's going to be a fantastic start
when
of
you
your
get airlifted off the mountain by the cutest person you've ever seen, you're going to be thank God I broke my femur.
I want to recommend bowling because I want to recommend a cry for help. Anything I've ever done as a single person around Valentine's Day, I have just hopefully been looking very available and very interested in dating someone while I'm there. So you have to go to a place that actually brings out some young people. Bryant Lake Bowl, Memory Lanes, Elsie's, the Nook. You cannot go to, some bowling alley in the suburbs that is mainly a league night. But if you get out there and you're cute and you're bowling by yourself, in my mind, it never worked out. In all my years of singleness, none of this all backfired. I just would finish and pay for my lane and then leave and cry and then eat more garlic. But just try again. Try for me, folks. Go bowl single and go home with someone that night. That is my recommendation for your Valentine's Day. A cry for help at the bowling alley.
That should be the title of your memoir, first of all.
Bowling for love.
We'd love to hear from you. Have you ever bowled for love? Let us know by texting us or leaving us a voicemail on the CityCast Twin Cities hotline. The number is 612-217-0637. We love hearing from you, and we'd love to include your thoughts in an upcoming mailbag segment. We have more to discuss, but before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. At this point, huge news stories happen every half day in the Twin Cities. And frequently when the story has the most reach, there's also the least information about it. And sometimes the first information about a big story has a lot of spin on it. It comes from somebody who has an angle on it. And one such event was a shooting in North Minneapolis on January 14th. That's when Julio Sosa Solis was shot in the leg, and the Department of Justice alleges that Sosa Solis and Alfredo Alhorna used a broom to hit an ICE officer. But in an interview with Regina Medina from NPR News, Julio Sosa Solis' partner disputes that allegation.
Yeah, so his partner spoke for the first time with her side of the story. His partner's name is Indriani Mendoza Camacho, and she said that her partner, quote, never grabbed anything to hit him or anything like that, him being the ICE agent. He only tried to separate them so they could both get in the house.
Yeah, and another fact of the case that wasn't known the night of the shooting is that the bullet that hit Sosa Solis was shot through a door, and it eventually lodged in a wall near the child's playpen in another family room.
And I think that just goes to show the risk of ICE operations happening in close quarters neighborhoods like that. And something else that was said in the interview is that we learned that Mendoza Camacho and the partner of Alfredo Alhorna were shackled on a plane and later detained in Texas. So she had to wait 3 days to get medical attention for an infected cyst.
And, there's still plenty of conclusions to draw from what we're hearing. But Mendoza Camacho is speaking out in hopes of getting the other 3 people from this story out of detention. So that would be Mendoza Camacho's partner and Alfredo Alhorna's partner, who is named Valentina de los Angeles Moreno. And I'm worried that these folks are going to be stuck in detention. And I'm also worried that by speaking out, Mendoza Camacho is causing more danger for herself, because at this point, talking to the press is a danger in and of itself.
I'm also curious why the partners of the men who were involved in the incident were detained in the first place.
I tried to look into this, Tiffany, and I was pulling from the NPR News article, and I could not find this is why they were detained, but there was some information on their background. Both of these women entered the country as unaccompanied minors in their teen years, and they are currently both seeking U visas, which is a special visa granted to victims of certain crimes who have suffered mental or physical abuse and then can maybe be helpful to law enforcement. Now, they're seeking those visas, so I'm gathering that maybe because they do not have those visas at this point, they can be detained under current law. But also, it's important to mention, I didn't mention it earlier, she's got a kid. She's got a kid who should probably be about 4.5 years old at this point, and she was away from her son for a number of days while she was in Texas. And I understand that maybe there's a right to detain these people based on them seeking U visas, but especially for these 2 women, there's no even claim of them committing something criminal that night. I don't think anybody is positing that they were involved in a criminal act. And that's the best I could come up about why they were detained, Tiffany. But it's hard for me to find a true visceral justification for why they have to be pulled away from their families for a number of days and lack medical care.
Literally just wrong place, wrong time. Great. Also, we're talking about women who have already suffered physical or mental abuse, and now they're being detained and denied medical care. That's great.
Let me throw another non-positive element of this story. The family room that this bullet lodged in is not even a family room of these 4 people. It's somebody else who's living in this house. So a family is truly wrong place, wrong time, in the sense that their roommates or their neighbors in this duplex were involved in a situation with ICE agents. And this hit close to a child's playpen. So this truly could have cost someone their life. When you shoot a bullet into a door, you are resigning yourself to kill someone, and perhaps the wrong person. And for what? And especially if there's no broom attack, you really have to say for what. And what makes me so sad is that the for what is really quiet compared to what happened on January 14th, when they go, oh, this was somebody who we had a right, we had a right to seek out. And then suddenly you find out that it's really a house of cards in a lot of ways, and it's tearing apart multiple families.
I guess just to put a button on this, the various times we talked about this on the show based on other people's reporting. So one of the facts that was in the air was whether or not the men involved in this incident hit the ICE agent with the brooms or shovels or the other people involved. We're hearing from one of the men's partners that did not happen. And I think that's one of the struggles that we have to contend with as we're, dealing with an ICE incident that does not have video footage, is we're going off of law enforcement accounts and then witness accounts, and then the people involved, if they ever feel comfortable speaking out, what they have to say. So we're going to continue navigating that and not let these stories fall by the wayside just because they're in the rear view. They're not in the rear view for these folks who are still living through it. We'll try to do our best with the information we have verified, but this is always a struggle of not having video footage to speak for itself.
That's all for today here on CityCast Twin Cities. I'm your host, Sean McPheron. Em Cassel, Tiffany Bui, thanks for being here today. You can get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to the CityCast Twin Cities newsletter. If you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with someone who throws amazing parties for their friends? We'll see you back here tomorrow for more news from around the city.